So hello everybody, and thank you for being here. I'm glad to introduce this webinar that is organized by DiverIMPACTS and especially the work package 5. I will do a short introduction, so I know there are more people joining, but they can anyway drop in during that time. And in about 5 minutes, I will give the floor to Per to present his farm and his machinery. We have understood that there is a lot of interest on this topic of small-scale sorting of the production in the context of crop diversification and more in general also, I think. So we are lucky to have him here and to share his experience. I'm already thanking you, Per, for being here. So just a short introduction for those of you who might not be familiar with the project DiverIMPACT. It's a European project that is now on its final year of work. And the focus is crop diversification on every aspect. So technical aspect of crop diversification at the crop level, but also at the farm level, communication about crop diversification, consumer expectations, etc. Here at Citra, at UC Louvain, we are in charge of the work package 5 that focuses more on the obstacles, the barriers to crop diversification and the levers that can be activated to make it easier for farmers to diversify their cropping system. And one of the aspects that we have identified as something important, especially in the small value chains, the short value chain, small scale, is the question of how do we sort, clean, dry, and maybe process the production. And this is why we have set up this seminar. So I'm here just making a short introduction, and then Per will have about 45 minutes to present the crop diversification process on his farm, the machinery that he has bought and he is using, and also his learning process on these topics. And then we have some time for questions. There will be a shared document where you can write the questions, and then we will group them in topics, and Per will answer them, or we can debate them also as a group. So we will be done at 10:30 as planned. Yeah, so just to give a frame again to this webinar, we have identified quite a lot of barriers to crop diversification, and we want to develop innovations and recommendations. So here the intention is not only to share with you this inspiring example, but also to see how we can translate that into innovation and advisory and policy recommendations. So this is what was identified along DiverIMPACT. The innovation settings where crop diversification takes place. We have on the right long value chains where it can take place. there are also possibilities in farmers' networks. So one farmer producing more diversified crops and selling it or sharing it with another farmer can be a combination of cropping and livestock systems. And finally, we have shorter value chains in which there are a smaller number of actors, and it can also happen that the farmer is also the processing actor. That's the case we have here. So today we are working on this part of the mapping. This is just a reminder of the different barriers to crop diversification. 46 were identified. It may seem a lot, but it's quite a precise assessment. So it's not that every project is facing 46 barriers, but some of them will occur, and it can also change along the project, along the diversification process. But one thing important to notice is that there are a lot of barriers at the farm level in green there, and there are also quite a few barriers in the downstream stage of value chains, in the market, and in the coordination between value chain actors. And of course, these barriers are interrelated. So it's the solution is never to simply take one line and provide a support, and that will solve everything. It has to be seen as a system, and this is also why there is this part of coordination between the actors that is very important to create the new value chains. So to contextualize today's webinar, here we are talking about these aspects. So the equipment for screening, cleaning, sorting the production, the question of the volume, and the level of investment or innovation that is needed to have machinery that fits with the volume we want to work with. So in face of this, in front of this 46 barriers, we have gathered all the a lot of expertise in the project, and we have identified different solutions that can be used, undertaken by the actors. So there is a report that gives these solutions, these operational solutions. There are 200 solutions. And this inventory, it can be used both by operational actors who want to find solutions to address a specific barrier, but also, as I was saying in the beginning, by policymakers for having an overview and providing relevant support to the actors. It can also be used for better coordination by understanding that the different solutions can help different barriers, etc. Yeah, this is in the form of a list, and we also wanted to have concrete examples of overcoming the barriers, and this is why we have this webinar today. So now I'm going to give the floor to Per.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be to be here. I don't know you all very much, but I'm honored to be here in your together with you. I'll try to speak in English, and you maybe have to help me sometime if I don't find the words, but I try, and you stop me and tell if there's something you don't get, and if I should take it slower or faster, or yeah, you tell me if I should change anything. I'll see if I can share my screen. So I hope you can see the first picture in my presentation.
Yes, it's perfect.
So my name is Per Modig. I live in the south of Sweden. I work both as advisor at a company called Here Skåne. So I work as advisor in organic crop production. So I have customers all over the south part of Sweden, Skåne. So I help them with planning their crop production, and so. And then I have specialized a little bit in pulses, legumes, and also weed management in all crops, and more specific in vegetables. Beside my work as advisor, I also have a farm together with my brother, and my part of the farm we call Fagraslätt. It's a small organic farm in the northeast of Skåne, south of Sweden, and yeah, it's located here. So you know a little bit about where we work. So we have together, my brother and me, we have 160 hectares where we grow organic. And the history, I started in 2009 with I tried with some beans, black, white, kidney, pinto, borlotti beans, and just a half hectare. I was interested in growing them. I asked some people, and they said no, it's not possible in Sweden. So I had to try if it was possible, and of course it was. It's not easy everywhere, but it's possible. So growing was the simple part of it. I think it often is you can grow new crops. It's possible. You can sow and harvest them, but then after that there comes the difficult part, and that's what we are focusing on today. The drying, sorting, and also selling. And today we are focusing on sorting. But from half a hectare with beans in 2009, we have expanded. So more and more of the farm's cropping is organic now. So since some years it's all organic, and we grow 20 to 25 hectares of different pulses every year. So last year, 2021, we had 4 types of beans: black, white, kidney, and soldier bean. We had 5 types of peas, different of old varieties, culture varieties from Sweden, lentils. We tried chickpeas. We tried that for some years without really success, unfortunately. We have tried also some years lupins and some years soybeans. So and fava beans also. It's a common crop in Sweden, but we have had it for some years too. And 20 to 25 hectares of pulses. But in my company, I also have quinoa. I've tried with chia some years, popcorn, hemp, naked oats, naked barley, old types of wheat and rye that I clean and sell in small batches, direct to consumers or to special stores or to restaurants and so on. And I also sell quinoa to a bigger company that sells it to stores and to kitchens. My brother said we have 160 hectares, so it's only a smaller part that is my part of the farm. So he'll also grow vegetables such as carrots, onions, potato, beetroot, sugar beets, and also traditional crops as oilseed rape and oats, barley, and of course green manure and ley. So diversification is you see, it's much of what we do in our farm, and it's complicated, but I think it's good because it's resilient when you have bad years for some crops. When you have many crops, every crop is not as much affected of drought or hot weather and so on, that we have had too much of the last years. If you have many different crops, it's a little bit more resilient, I think. That was a little background of what we grow and what we have done. As I said, I started growing beans in a really small scale in 2009. I recognized it was possible to grow, despite many people said it was impossible. But there are very many challenges in growing in this small scale. Harvest is one challenge. We don't have the perfect equipment for harvesting these special types of beans, and also drying. You have to have small containers for drying these small amounts. Sorting and cleaning, and that's what we're going to focus on today. I recognized it was not very easy to find someone who could clean these small amounts of crops. And I also had to learn about packing and selling, but we're not talking so much about that today. When I started in 2009, just some words about drying. We have a lot of small crops, so we dry them. The small amounts we dry in those boxes. There are perforated plot. There's perforated screen in the bottom, so we blow air through the crop and dry it. And when we have a little bit bigger amounts, we have this trailer when there are bigger batches. We can dry it in this trailer. So also there is a perforated screen in the bottom, so we blow air through it. When we have a small scale sorting and cleaning, it's difficult to clean those small batches. We have made a lot of tests since 2009. I have had contact with many other farmers and places where they can sort, and it's a challenge to clean those small batches. You maybe lose if you lose like 50 or 100 kilogram for each batch. It will be a big loss if you only have like 500 kilograms of something. So we have made a lot of tests at our farm, more or less by hand and with small lab machines and so on. So we have tried more and more, but since 2017 we have those machines that you see in the picture, good machines, laboratory machines that we have slightly modified for processing a little bit higher volumes. And yeah, we have now good equipment for cleaning those small batches. And small batches, I mean, can take as small as like 50 kilograms. It's possible for us to clean, and up to maybe 5 tons or so. More than that, we are not. We are too expensive. So then other people can do the bigger amounts. But the good thing about our process equipment is that we use those boxes that you see on top of the machine and also below the machine. So we don't have any elevators or transport mechanisms there where you have to do a lot of cleaning. So when you change sort or change crop, it's very rapid to clean, maybe just some 5-10 minutes to clean the machine. And therefore, because the box is self-emptying, so you don't have to clean that. And there are not a lot of rests from the last crop when you are finished with one. So you can clean small batches in our equipment. But of course, it's more expensive counted per kilogram than if you clean 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 ton in a big place. In Sweden it's like under 1 krone per kilogram. So what's that, like 0.05 euro per kilogram when you clean big amounts. But I'm of course more expensive than that. But if you don't have any place to clean those small, it's good.
Bisous, Faustine.
Anyway, yes. Sorry, I didn't cut.
No, that's just someone who had their mic open.
I thought there was a question. Feel free to interrupt and make questions. So if I'm going to present the machines I have a screen cleaner. It's the most common cleaner. 3 screens that you can change to different sizes, both round and slotted holes. And this machine it cleans based on the size of the seeds, and more specific, it's the width of the seed. So if you imagine, if you have round holes, for example, and you're cleaning oats, then the oats can go through the hole standing up. So you only clean by the width of the seed. And this machine also removes the light material with air. So you take away, with this machine, you take away small like weed seeds and big straws and so on, and you get the same size based on the width. So this is always in every cleaning process. This is the first machine you go, and then you maybe go one more time with another screen with a little bit bigger lower screen and smaller upper screen to do a fine cleaning. So first often a pre-cleaning and then a fine cleaning with more tight size on the screens. And then we also have an indented cylinder, trieur in Swedish. And here you can separate seeds with different length, and not only the screen cleaner, it's based on the width, but now you can separate different lengths. So this all those mantles, you can change them, and there are different sizes of the although they're not holes, but I don't know what the English word, but in gropar, skålar.
Small pits, maybe. Pits. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe. And you can see in the picture, and if the seed is enough small, so it fits in those pits, then it follows a long way up and falls in this auger. But if it's bigger and it's not, then it's not lifted as high up, and then it's separated. So here you separate by the length. It takes quite a lot of time, but we use it a lot when we separate lentils and oats. So here we can separate if we grow oats and lentils together, and in the first screen cleaner we can't separate them from each other. We take away the straw, and we take away the weed seeds, but you can't separate weeds and lentils, because it's the same width of the seeds. But here in the indented cylinder, you can separate like 95% of the oats you can take away from the lentils, because they are different length, really. And then we also have a brushing machine, and we use it for cleaning quinoa. And yeah, I don't think we have to talk so much about that right now. And then we have a very important machine for us, and if you want a good quality, this gravity separator. And it separates seeds with the same size, but different specific weight or density, if you say so. So if you see this machine, it works with movement. You can adjust the speed of the movement and the length of the movement. You also can adjust the angle of the deck in 2 directions, and you also can. It works also with air. It blows from beneath, and you can adjust how much air it goes. And then the light material comes in one end of the deck, and the heavy material comes in one end of the deck. And then you get rid of low quality material in one side, and you hopefully get rid of stones and stones in the other direction. And then the good part is in the middle. So this is like a quality separation. And if you have, for example, lentils, when you separate the lentils from the oats, you can separate the rest. If you have 95% removed in the indented cylinder, then you take the rest, the last 5% on the gravity separator, usually at least. And here we also have a quality sort. So seeds that are bad, they're early ripened, that are not so good, well feeded, then they go in the light end of the deck. And if you were talking about lentils, the big problem in lentils is if you have wheat, especially problematic, but also barley or rye can be a problem because it's the same size and also same specific weight as lentils. So it's really hard to separate, really hard. These are my machines: screen cleaner, indented cylinder, brushing machine, and gravity separator. You come very long with those 4 machines. And if the next step, if I should have one more machine, I guess it would be a color sorter or imagine sorter to pick away seeds with wrong color or wrong, so it can see the seed and pick away if they look bad in some way. And yeah, here you see a little bit clearer how we work. You see, it takes a lot of time for us. We don't have an automatic filling and emptying of the machine. That would also be the next step to do the transport to the machine with air, maybe. But we get in the material in a big bag when we're starting cleaning a new crop, and then we empty the big bag in those white boxes, and then we lift up the box with loader on the machine, and we put boxes below the machine, and then when we have cleaned on the first machine, we move the box to next machine, and yeah, continue like that. So it's a lot of work with every batch, but we can do small batches and keep them apart in an easy way. Questions so far? Or we?
Maybe one question per. Which machine do you use for what? Do you have the option to use one or another, or do you need to go from every step for every crop?
Yeah, like the brushing machine we use for quinoa. We don't use it for any other crop right now. But the screen cleaner you use for every crop, and it depends on how the material is and how challenging it is. Sometimes we do, as I said, first pre-cleaning and then a fine cleaning. So sometimes we do more than one step on the screen cleaner. So I would say all crops we use both screen cleaner and gravity separator. Those two are the most important. And then the indented cylinder we use especially when we clean lentils and we separate them from oats. But screen cleaner is the #1 machine that we use for every crop, and also gravity separator for almost every crop.
And how do you assess the quality at the end of the process? How do you know that it's sorted enough?
Yeah, it depends on if I'm going to sell it myself. I decide if it's enough, and if I can speak to my customers and ask, is this enough? So it's something you learn after some years. And if I'm going to sell it to a company, as I do with the quinoa, they are the ones who decide if it's okay. Mm. Just some words about how I pack the things. When I do big batches that I'm going to deliver to a customer everything at a time, I pack it, of course, in big bags and ship it on pallets. And I will also store it in big bags. So this is a picture of my store where I store when it's waiting for be packed. So then I store it in big bags, and I can pack in small bags, 20-25 kilograms each, and ship it on pallets. And I also pack a lot in 10-kilogram boxes, like down in the left. And I also pack some of it in small plastic bags, 1 kilogram or 250 grams. And if I should say something about the learning process, and if I should give some advice to others, I would say visit other farmers and other places with cleaning facilities. You learn a lot, really, what is good to do and what is bad to do. So go and see different places and processes, so you see what to do. And also visit and ask for advice from manufacturers. So I have bought my machines from Vestrup in Denmark, and they have a splendid lab where you can come there and with your raw material, and then you can learn which machines and which sizes from green and so on. So you learn a lot from them, and yeah, of course they can give you an offer of what machine you need. So both from other farmers and places and from the ones who make the machines. And then something about financial aspects. Those machines that I bought them in 2017, and the cost for each machine was between 10,000 and 20,000 euro. So and then those white boxes and extra screens and extra mantles for the indented cylinder and so on. So total like 75,000 euro in 2017. And then I have after that I have bought extra screens and decks for the gravity separator and so on for like 10,000 euro. And yeah, equipment around it and installation so on, like 20,000 euro. And then building, it depends on how you count it. How much of the building I should count in the cleaning process, because there are facilities for the staff and so on. How much should you count in? It depends on how much you should count in there. And also, if I said something about what more I would need or what I would wish, you can go how high. You can go very high in cost if you should make it better. So the next step is better cleaning of the air, of the dust. You should have a better dust cleaning, and that can be quite expensive. And next step also is to, as I mentioned, about filling the machines with air instead of lifting up the boxes. So we looked last year. We looked at prices for doing a big process for bigger amounts. Here we can clean like between half a ton and 1 ton a day. So we have a quite low capacity, of course. And if you should have a bigger capacity, like 5 to 10 tons a day, then you would invest like 1.7 million euro in that equipment. And the cleaning machines is only like 30% of the costs. It's all around with filling and emptying and air and dust, and so it's all around that costs, and the building, of course. So the price when someone wants to sort anything at my place, I take 1.2 euro per kilogram for each machine, for each step. So if you need first one screen cleaning and then one gravity separator, then it's 1.4 euro per kilogram, and if you need any more steps, and then it will be quite a lot. So this is possible when you sell it for food, and you can take a good price when you sell it. It's not, of course, possible if you are going to use it for feed or for feed or so. So small batches and exclusive crops, then it's possible to clean here. I think that was my last picture. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much again for letting me speak here. I'm honored, and I hope you have some questions, and I'll try to answer.
Thank you very much, Per. So we have quite a few questions in the shared document. And we have 40 minutes for it. So we have 3 questions about the production on the field, 2 questions about the machinery, a few questions about financial aspects, and also on the technical relations between actors. Shall we start with the machinery to stay in the in the same type of content? I will share so can you see the questions there?
Yeah. Yeah, where do we start?
I suggest to start with the orange ones.
Yeah, technical questions, yes. Did you start with one sort clean machine and see and see the need for additional? Those 4 machines I bought together as a system, so I bought them at the same time. Before that, I had a really small lab machine, a really small screen cleaner. So I knew I needed a screen cleaner, and then I learned what additional machines I needed. And I bought them at the same time. Yes. Well, which one do you take next? How many different mantles do you have for that wear? I have like 6 different mantles, but it's yeah, it depends on which crops you're going to clean. You can use, if you're going to clean wheat or barley or rye, then you can use the same mantle. But if you're going to clean quinoa and beans, then you have to have really different sizes of mantles. So I don't have so many, but I don't use Turia really much. How many sieves do you have? Yeah, it's the same as screens, I guess, isn't it? I have like 20 round and 20 slotted sizes. So and you can't have too many of those. If it had been cheaper, I would have had like 50 of each. So it's really good if you want a good quality. It's good to have every like 0.1 millimeter of different sizes. But it depends on how many crops you're going to clean. Are you only going to clean wheat? Then you only need like maybe 10 screens. But if you're going to clean really different sizes of crops, then you need more screens, of course. 1, 2, 3. Cleaning, is it only dry cleaning? Yes, it's only dry cleaning. And yes, I can do food quality on my machines, as long as I don't as long as I don't knock the shell, as long as I don't make milling or take off the shells, then I can do it in my equipment. What was important by the choice of machinery? Is Westrup the best you can advise others? I don't know. I guess there are very many different manufacturers of cleaning machines. Westrup was good for me. It was not so far away. I could go there and see them and see their machines. But there are very many other machineries. Westrup was good for me when I bought them. Today, I don't know if I would buy it again, but they have this range of small-scale machines, laboratory machines. So for me, it was good to buy from Westrup. Yeah, and this question to the audience, I guess. Does anybody have experiences with machines from other companies?
Yeah, this I would suggest that we keep for the end. We can have a little open session. Yeah.
And if I take the last orange, does your brother clean his vegetables, carrots, red beets, and so on? No, he doesn't. He cleans potatoes, but not at our farm. It's on a farm nearby. So we in my farm we only have dry cleaning of seeds and not of vegetables in my farm.
Super, thank you for the details. We also have some financial question about the machinery here.
Yeah.
About the cost for sorting and cleaning small batches.
Yeah, I maybe answer that question later in the presentation, because I take 2 Swedish crowns per kilogram for each machine as this, yeah, like 0.2 euro per every machine.
Yeah.
So if I clean you know, it can be like 6 or 8 Swedish crowns per kilogram for there are very many steps. Next to the above question about the costs, what time is needed in general to clean different batches? Yeah, there small and big seeds are very different there. If I clean like quinoa, that's a small seed. I maybe only clean like 50 to 100 kilograms per hour. But if I clean big beans or big peas, then you can clean like 300 kilograms per hour. So it's a very big difference, depending on the size of the seed, and also if there are problematic weeds in the pot, then you have to go slower and so on. So it depends on mostly on the size of the seed, and decides how fast you can go on the screen cleaner.
Mm. Can you say how many days you spend cleaning the production?
Yeah, we like 200 days a year, approximately.
Mm.
So I have a guy who works with this. He works 75% of full time mostly with cleaning.
Mm. And so it's really significant.
Oh. Write off of the machines. I've counted with 10 years, or a little bit less.
Super. Where else do we go? The relations between actors. What are the quality requirements of companies who buy your crops? Is there any possibility for dialogue? What happens if there are variations in quality over the years?
Yeah, it varies. I think it varies a lot depending on what crop it is and what type of buyer it is. For example, the beans. There are not very many others in Sweden growing these beans organic, so I'm almost the only one selling the beans. And then there are many of my customers on beans are very devoted to this, and they are very happy to, oh wow, we can find Swedish grown beans and organic grown Swedish beans, and then they are very, yeah, they are so happy to find it. So they don't ask so much about the quality. I want to high standard on the quality, but it's very different what customer you have. But then I also sell to a company that's and they sell to schools, for example. And so if they're going to sell lentils to schools kitchens, then it's needed to be free from every like wheat or so. It's really important that it's clean from gluten. Is it called so in?
Yes.
So it depends very much on the customer. It's much tougher to sell to a public kitchen than to special shops or stores or private persons. I don't know if yeah, variation in quality over the years. Yeah, there's a big problem. Like on the quinoa, we have had quite big differences in the color on different years. So it's, yeah, it's a problem. And you,
were you still able to sell it with the
yeah, but you
variation?
may it differs a lot how much you have to take away when you sort it.
Okay.
So and also it has differed. The color between the years has differed due to different weather conditions during harvest. So a little bit we have taught the customers to accept variation in color, but not how it's not possible to do it how much really that much.
Okay. Someone asked if you are cleaning for others. Yes, you are. I think you explained that. Yeah. Great. We got one more question on the financial aspect. Is the cost of the person who cleans, who prepares the cleaning steps, is accounted in the 0.2 euros?
Yeah, it's included. So it's both machinery and the time it takes to operate.
Great. Okay, and finally, we had some question. Oops. About field production. There are 3 questions. Which chickpeas varieties are you testing? Did you use inoculum? If yes, which one? It's very precise questions.
Yeah. And now I don't remember we have tried like 3 different varieties, and now I don't have them in my mind. So I could check it if the one asking who could send me an email, I can check it and come back. And no, I did not use inoculum. I maybe should have done it, but I didn't.
The next question is about growing mixtures versus growing strips.
Yeah, the crops I grow in mixtures is especially lentils that they compete very badly with the weeds. So in my experience, it's needed to mix them with oats. So that's not an opportunity to grow it in strips. It's also good to have the oats to prevent the lentils from lodging. So I don't think it's. I think it's the only and the best or maybe the only way to grow it in mixture. And also the same with some kind of old varieties of peas that also lodge. No, it's called lodging.
Yeah.
When they lay down. So it's those 2 lentils and peas that I grow in mixture, and I don't think it's an option to grow it instantly.
And the other crops, you grow them separately, not in mixture.
Sorry.
The other crops?
Yeah, like beans and quinoa and so on. They're as they are.
Super.
And that was maybe answer to the question.
Yes. Here there is a question about the choice of crops. Do you choose your new crops based on agronomic criteria or also considering sorting issues?
Yeah, of course, also sorting issues, because like lentils, it maybe would be better to grow it with, yeah, maybe wheat would be better agronomic, but it's impossible to separate. So then it's not an option. So yeah, that could be an example for that.
Yeah. Great. So finally, we have these little other topics. Does your equipment now determine which new crops you try out? That's more or less the same question, no?
Oh, that's an interesting question. In one way, it does, because I have good, but I have equipment for sorting and cleaning, dry cleaning, and like so I choose crops that I can sell without shelling or milling. So I choose crops that I can handle in my equipment without having to go to some other, and without investing in milling machines and shelling machines. So that's why I 2 years ago started growing naked barley and naked oats. That I can sort and I can sell as it is. It's not needed to be done anything more. You can use it as it is. So yes, the equipment determine a little which new crop I choose. Yes.
Clear. 2 more questions about the machine suppliers. You mostly work with Westrup. Is there a reason? And is there a market for second-hand machines?
Yeah. Westrup, I wouldn't say I mostly work with Westrup, but I have bought machines once, and then I bought from Westrup. So that's the answer. And they have those small-scale machines. I don't know if it's available from. I guess there are other that could sell them, but I don't know any other. And second-hand machines, it's a very, very small market, because those machines that I have are quite common on bigger companies. They have a lab unit where they have small machines where they try and clean small batches to know how to do when they do it in bigger scale. But if it's a big company, then it's a really small cost for them to let them just stand there. They maybe don't use it so much, but it's when you then need it, it's really good to have them, and it's a small income for them to sell the machine. It's better to just let them stand there. So it's really, really rare that those small machines come out on second-hand market. It's much more common that bigger machines come out on second-hand market. But if you can buy a big like a 30-year-old screen cleaner for only like 2,000 euro, but then you only have the machine. You don't have a feeder, you don't have the equipment around. So it can be quite, if you buy that machine for 2,000 euro, then you maybe have to buy equipment around it for 5,000 euro. So even if you can buy a machine with much higher capacity, but you don't, it will be expensive to set it up and make it work. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, to finish with, there are two specific questions.
A bit of an aside. If I recall, when we came with Hodmadod, I saw Joshua as Josiah Meldrum, I guess, or no?
It was registered, yeah. So if
you had an intro. You had intro strips of wildflowers with beneficial insects. Are you continuing to do this, and what species are you finding are effective? This is a big question, and I'm afraid I don't have a short answer. We are continuing with those strips with flowers, and we have tried with different types of mixtures of wildflowers. So I can't say what is best. And now I'm so bad in English names of it. Honungsört. Vad heter det på engelska? Någon som vet?
Facilia. Yeah, I think it's Facilia.
Yeah, Facilia is used it's very common in Sweden, using for those strips. Maybe Facilia combined with a clover, Incarnatum clover.
Clover, yeah.
Also clover. So that's a quite cheap and easy way to make flower strips, but there are very many different mixtures with maybe used for landscaping that can be good when you use it in vegetables into rows. Yeah, we could speak more about it, but I think we can leave it right now.
Yeah, it's not directly linked to sorting the the production.
Yeah. The sowing doses of oat and lentils. Yeah, we use me and Georg Karlsson, as you have heard his voice sometime. We have tried this a little and looked from other experience, and I would be glad if someone else could say something about this too. But I use full sowing rate of lentils and 25% rate of normal seeding rate for oats. So when I grow this Anesia lentil that I grow, then I sow like 90 kilograms lentils per hectare and 35 to 40 kilograms of oats per hectare. And I would be very happy if someone could say something about how do you do, what is good for you?
Yeah, maybe we ask we keep 5-10 minutes afterward to have an open discussion, and we can bring that in there. And okay, the final one I have here: if you should separate lentils from wheat, how would you do that?
I don't know if it's possible. Because now I'm maybe stupid, but durum wheat, it's naked, isn't it? It's not like the shell. Because if it's common naked wheat, then it's almost impossible to separate from those small lentils. maybe if you grow bigger lentils, it would be possible, but not those small anesia lentils. Then it's really hard to separate.
Or would you need this color sorting machine?
Yeah, that would be an option, but it's quite expensive to. Yeah, it depends on. Is it one wheat per 10 kilograms? Then it's possible. But if you grow it in mixture and it's 50-50, then I don't think it's possible. Then you get rid of too much lentils.
Okay. So we have been through the questions here, but I see there are a few ones in the chat.
Oh, I could open them.
Yeah. Okay, I think they were actually also brought in the main document. Yeah. I see Josia is giving some advice. Great. So we have 15 minutes left. We can have an open discussions. I would suggest that you raise your hand, virtual hand or real hand, to make it easy to hear everyone. So I see that Mark was writing a question in the chat. Mark, do you want to ask?
Hello. Last year we had a wet summer, raining all day, and then the harvest was high in humidity. And then there is speed, that you need speed to separate the weeds that have a high humidity. And if you take too much time, then you lose the crop overall. So is there a step to increase the speed to get rid of the excess humidity? Because 200 days a year separating is only possible if you can keep your crop at good quality for all that time. So yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, I dry all my crops instantly after harvest. So they are dry. So I store them dry and then clean them dry.
Do you have a picture of that machinery, or is it something you made yourself, or you can buy it in Sweden from companies?
The drying, or
the drying, yeah.
Yeah, I showed. There was a picture.
Yeah, that's the first machine you showed, I think.
That one. So I have like this.
Oh, this one. Oh, yeah, of course.
For small batches, I have boxes, and for big batches, I have this trailer.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Just. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in the open questions that we had left aside, there was this question of, does anybody have experience with machines from other companies? So if there are some people who want to share their experience, that's also possible.
I can say something about it, but we bought a sea cleaner from Röber Samatec, a German company, but only last summer, so we don't have that much experience yet. But yeah, we cleaned some crops, lupins, peas, and peas grown with barley. So we had to separate the two of them. And with the first batch of sieves we had, it was quite different. So we had to buy more sieves to get the job done, especially the split peas. A lot of them were split. So when they're halved, it's even more difficult to sort them from the barley. But yeah, we'll see it this year now. Just in case, Mark, we ordered some drying equipment from a German company as well. We don't have it yet, but it looks quite handy for small batches of crops. So it's like in the more or less a size of a pallet. So and you can have it with various volumes, and you can add directly a small ventilator. I can send you the link if you're interested, just in case. We don't have it yet, but yeah, so far I think because we were looking also for a long time for something that makes sense to us. So yeah.
I can add something to the drying. We found a system where you suspend the big bag in a framework, and you can put a ventilator with a shaft in each big bag. And afterwards you can store the big bags one on top of the other in that frame. And in the bottom there is a tiroir. How do you rate? You can open the big bag so it becomes a silo kind of big bag. That's a combination of storage, drying, and manipulating, or well, you can do multiple things with it. But it doesn't heat, it just ventilates ambient air. So not so sure in extreme situations that you can get humidity fast enough to an acceptable level. So we have to find that out. And in Belgium, I know that with help of the government, someone is building a mobile dryer that can do a few tons per hour. So maybe we'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you. Georg.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Per, for giving this webinar. Very interesting to listen to you. Yeah, I took the opportunity, since you mentioned my name when this question came up, with finding the optimal proportions of lentil and oat in the intercrops. As you said, Per, you and I together with farmers, we run a project about intercropping, and we did try different combinations, different seeding ratios of lentil and oat in small plot field experiments here at SLU. So yeah, we did learn some things, but the differences were quite small. One thing that I see now when I check the results again is that with a higher seeding rate, we get a little bit less weeds and a little bit higher lentil yield. But the difference were not statistically significant, so that's then I as researchers say maybe it's not worth to spend the extra cost for sowing more seeds, but still it is an interesting indication, I think, and this could be looked further into. I guess another problem that we face is that there are so many combinations you can try. I mean, you can increase the seeding rate, you can decrease it, you can decrease oat, increase lentil, or vice versa. And you need so many different combinations, and each site might respond, the crop might respond differently in different sites. So finding one optimal proportion, I think that is impossible, but continuously trying will be the way forward, I think, and maybe each farmer will have to try a little bit what works best on her or his soils in terms of seeding rates and proportions. So yeah, a long way to say nothing really clearly, but just to confirm, it's a really interesting and an important question. I think if playing with the seeding ratios can further improve the crop production, that is certainly possible.
Thank you. Lieven, you wanted also to talk?
I had also a question about the drying issue. To what degree of humidity you can dry with that system? Can you dry when you dry with, for instance, 18 or 20% humidity? I think it's easily possible. But I think beans or even quinoa, sometimes you have a higher degree of humidity. Is it possible with that rather simple equipment, or do you use a heater at that moment, or is it just with dry air, with outdoor air? Can you arrive at the right level of humidity?
It can be complicated when it's late in the season and the beans are wet. And also, as you say, quinoa can be a bit of a problem too. But I always start with outdoor air, and then after like 24 hours, I heat the air a little. So I use a little bit heat to do the drying. And sometimes you have to mix the batch if it's too wet, and you have to check so that the air comes even over the batch. So it's sometimes there is a part of that that's easier for the air to go, and then you don't get the batch evenly dried. So, but if I don't have too high layer, where it's always possible to dry it, even if it's quite wet. But it depends on how high you have the layer.
Thank you, Per. We have Gilbert who is asking to talk. Yeah. Hello.
Okay, thank you so much for this great and interesting and inspiring presentation. And just to echo and support what George has said concerning the different proportions of doses of intercropping, like the way they did it with oats and lentils. Here in Tuscany, Pisa, Italy, we have tried to do intercropping of lentils and durum wheat. And that's why we were so much interested on finding out the big problem that we are facing on sorting the durum wheat and lentils. And as Per said, it's a bit difficult, but so far we have got so interesting results that even we have some farmers who wants to adopt this kind of system. But our main problem still on this sector. Do you think, like all the audience, because now there's this kind of technologies coming, do you think that we are going to succeed with this kind of intercropping practices, given that they have so many advantages? For instance, in our case, we have differed the dosage density of durum wheat, and we have seen that still there is no difference if you have a high density of wheat and low density of wheat in terms of productivity, and that can also help the farmers in terms of lowering the cost. But this technology, is it applicable for the farmers? What is the future of it? Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't quite. What's the question? I didn't quite get it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry for that. Our question is the applicability of this, because we are having some farmers who wants to adopt this kind of system. Like for instance, here in Tuscany, we have some farmers who wants to do lentil and wheat intercropping, but the biggest problem for them is still the separation of the two crops. So the future of this, how is it? Where we are going from your experience?
And what is it, Gilbert? What limit farmers to adopt these technologies?
The problem is the sorting and cleaning of the two crops, like lentils and durum wheat.
Yeah, but you say that you have a good technology now?
As in, I'm saying that this kind of technology agroecologically is good, especially for the soil, because you have the legumes, you have the, but now the biggest problem is how in future, like what are we seeing with this? Is it something that it can be solved in terms of industrially technology? Can we get some?
Maybe one way to translate the question to you, Per, would be how do you see that in Sweden? Are you the only farmer doing that? Is it replicating? Are you receiving a lot of questions?
In Sweden, I think it's like 20 farmers or so that grow lentils, and all of them grow lentils in mixture with oats. I know some farmer growing lentils together with wheat. Vad heter, Georg, could you help me? Old kind of wheat with shell.
Yeah. Now I forget if it is spelt or emmer wheat, but yeah, some of those old, isn't it? Yeah, spelt or emmer.
Because I think that if you are going to separate something, there has to be some difference, either in size or in density. And oats is it's a little bit longer, so you can separate 95% of it on the length, and then the last like 5% you can separate with density. But if you have wheat that is quite similar and both density and size, then it's really hard to separate. And then someone said you can separate it with some kind of imagine technology. But I'm not so familiar with that technique. But as I have heard, when you separate with the camera or a photo technique, then you don't only separate one seed. You separate, when you take away one bad seed, you also lose some of the seed that you want to have. So it's hard to separate. If it's much, it's hard to separate. It's only the last step when you have like one per 10 kilograms, then you can separate with that technique. So in my opinion, it's not possible to grow with wheat, but I would be glad if I'm wrong.
Yeah, there is an interesting comment in the chat about directions for the future. Can you imagine many small-scale sorting facilities? Or do you imagine that at some point an actor is investing in a wider facilities and doing this sorting, cleaning for everyone else?
Yeah, as I see it, it would be really good if there was a bigger place or company that or many farmers together made a bigger, so they could have a higher capacity. but I didn't see it as a possibility for me. There was no one who could clean those different ranges of crops that I had. So then I invested in it, but it would be really good to have a higher capacity plot somewhere.
Great. We are reaching the end of the webinar, and I think you've already shared a lot of knowledge and reflections, so that's really great. So thank you so much, Per. Thank
you very much.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending and your questions. I will come back to you all with a little form about the other webinars you may like to attend, or if there are some specific topics you need research or inputs on. I think it's a nice group that we have today on a very specific topic, so we can try to build up on that. Yeah, so thank you very much, Per.
Thank you very much. As I said, I'm honored to be in this company. Thank you very much.
And yeah, a good day for everyone.
You too. Thank you very much, Kamati.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.